16.
26.
I tried the printer to print out 4 or 5 pictures from 834 River Street, and of course, it only gave us one, so.
I have on my phone as well, so.
You showed them.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice.
The countertops are in, but the appliances aren't, that's it.
Correct.
And a couple details, Paul knows better than me.
Yeah, there's just some tune-up stuff. The good news is that they did request the CO. So the inspection for 834 for the CO is on Tuesday. So that's where we are with 834.
Do I have a packet?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There is that. That's you.
Okay.
But it's all
All right.
tune-up stuff.
So,
You good?
Jamie, we're ready, yeah?
Good morning. Today is January 16th, 2026. Welcome to the Troy Community Land Bank Executive Committee meeting. I'll call to order at 8:37. I'll start with a roll call. Brian Barker.
Here.
Suzanne Spellin.
Here.
Monica Kuzieski.
Here.
James Mager. Here. Also in attendance is Executive Director Brad Lewis and Project Manager Paul Donnelly. We'll open up with an approval of the December 21st minutes.
December 1st, executive committee.
I'm sorry, December 1st, Executive Committee.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. We'll go right into the leasing policy, Brad.
Yep, so I just generated a policy. If you remember, a month and a half ago, I said we could have a consultant come in, so instead I just did it myself. Because I didn't hear anybody interested in consultant, but I like to give everybody their options. And so it's this 4-page document front and back. The items in red are our attorney's comments and changes. And so Katie's gone over it and she's made small changes to it. She did add in that if we wanted to go further into detail of a policy, we could add for disabilities, people with disabilities, domestic violence individuals, and a couple other things. Criminal policies, all HCR policies. If somebody has a past conviction, we can adopt HCR's policy on people with past convictions of a crime, or if it's a domestic abuse person, maybe they had been forced to take credit cards and let their partner who's abusing them use the credit card so their credit's shot. So we could accommodate their bad credit based on their past domestic abuse situation. All those policies by HCR can be adopted later. Now, whatever anybody wants to do, obviously it has to be done at the regular board meeting, but you can take into consideration those. The disabilities one is probably not going to apply to the first 5 that we have here, because none of our apartments are handicap accessible. So but that's a nice policy. If we did have one, say we had an elevator or a first floor flat, we could hold that unit for somebody in a wheelchair versus first come, first serve. You can say, this is actually our policy for this unit was designed for somebody that needs accommodations. So it's a nice policy, but we won't have that situation in any of our properties. So we can add those on, we can make them all part of a bigger package, but this is what we developed. And then the other part, we could actually just have a property manager do the whole process, which I don't think is necessary, but for the 3 units on 834 River Street that we were just discussing, you're probably looking at the first month's rent, which is probably $5,000, and then 10% of all the rent from there, which if it's March to December, you're talking 10 months, 10% of 10 months would be effectively 1 month. So you're talking about $9,000, $10,000 for a property manager to find tenants for those 3, if you guys want to consider the policy further instead of moving forward with it. But I think we're going to be ready for onboarding this right after the board meeting on Wednesday. So that's where we are on that sort of policy.
You guys have the bandwidth for the 3 units?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I think we just start from there, see what the market looks like, right? See how, 3 is manageable, I think, especially when you're sitting there.
It'll be 5.
It'll be 5.
Well, but especially when
It's all new, so.
You're all new, but you're also sitting there,
Yeah,
right? So it's easier to manage,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
stuff that's right there,
Mhm.
especially when you're underneath it.
Sure.
Um,
There, and of course, 834 is only 5-10 houses down. So
Right.
And
that was the strategy.
between Brett and I, we've gone through the rental process
Yeah,
a few thousand
It's not
times,
like you're
well,
new to
a
this
few hundred
rodeo.
at least.
yeah.
So the River Street portfolio would be easily manageable.
Yeah, I think that's really, I mean, honestly, I don't see, besides 834, 836, and 871, I don't
What
see
else
us
you
much,
do?
I don't think that there's anything else for us to manage. And I think that's gonna stabilize the organization. So beyond that, I don't know that we're gonna take on more 3-unit buildings too. I think the 3-unit idea was for legacy cities to make it 3 to
Yeah.
2. And it, I haven't heard from any land bank, the legacy cities was a great idea, so.
Okay.
Well, and even if you work with Habitat, having that 2-unit makes it we did that with the one next to Tina, makes it a huge unit,
Yeah.
huge. unit.
So if you guys want, we can bring this to the full board for approval, and I'll just take the red out and accept the changes from Katie. I mean,
Mhm.
do you guys think we should add any HCR elements to it yet, or just start with the basics to start?
What was Katie's recommendation?
She said we could adopt those further policies if we want.
I would leave it at, my opinion is leave it as is until, unless anybody else thinks, I mean, the only logical one would be the handicap accessible, but.
Well, no, that one I think is the only one we can adopt it, but it's not gonna apply.
Right, but the other one, that would be to me, the logical one, but it doesn't apply to us now, so.
Yeah.
But the other way to look at it is if we go ahead and adopt it now, it saves the organization money later down the road by we already have Katie working on this now.
HCR's policies are boilerplate, so they come as a memo from HCR, so.
And you would just add that language in here.
Yeah, it would just
We
become
can-
addendum
the board can
one.
make an amendment, just
We can
vote to
amend
amend it.
we can amend our leasing policy to
Oh.
adopt in the
Sure.
Yeah.
HCR
Then
policies.
I would just go forward with this.
Just with this one.
If Katie's already had her eyes on it,
Yep, that's all the comments she made in red. Of course, she'll be there at the meeting, and you could always adopt it and amend it too. You know, the annual meeting's coming up, if we find something in there that's flawed or it's not working.
I would say, yes, I'd like to make a recommendation to recommend this to the full board.
Okay.
They also did together a lease for us.
Yep.
So if no one's aware of that, and we just have to plug and play and put it in
It's great.
there.
So essentially after next Wednesday, we're ready to, you're ready.
We have a lead,
You're ready
yeah.
to rock.
I mean, in this, it does call for a tenant selection committee. It's an ad hoc committee, and so we would do the same, I think, live stream, just call it applicant ABC. And that committee, that's the second page at the top. So I think, based on the way I wrote it, it's appointed by the board chair, so obviously you probably look for volunteers first. But once we get the tenants, once we get our 5 tenants, the committee will probably not meet, much like the finance or governance committee.
Ad hoc.
Yeah,
I would just make your headings bold, especially if it's gonna go on the website and people are gonna follow it.
Hold on a second, I just thought of something with committee, and it's online. Where's that section?
Top of second page, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. Can you, I think we need to add, because generally we have some sort of record of who is on committees,
Mhm.
right?
yeah, it's on the website.
I would put somewhere in here that there should be no communication with committee members by tenants or applicants.
Okay.
I like it.
No, you just don't want,
No, I get it.
you
I
don't
totally
want
get it.
people to sideswipe the process,
Right.
especially if it's somebody you know,
Mhm.
right? And then all of a sudden, like, all communication must be, all tenant-related application communication must be conveyed to the executive director
Right.
or
Yeah, I think the writing part's important from Katie's standpoint, because she had put a note in red about that, and I think, because somebody gives a paper one, and then they can just say we shredded it or lost it. I'm sure somebody could say, I put one in paper underneath the door or in your mailbox, and nobody got back to me. Where the online ones, and I can see a world where we actually have a computer set up down at 871 where somebody can go right online, log into Zillow and do one.
Do them right there.
But the thing about Zillow, the thing I like about Zillow is you kind of, if you do an application, you have to verify who you are by like uploading your ID and stuff like that. So it's no joke.
It's
You
a
can't.
prequel.
Oh, I get it. I get them.
And Facebook is like, is this available? And then you don't know what they're talking.
No,
if
you
they're a
gotta
real
make
person.
an effort on Zillow. You have to put your information in for that to come to the landlord.
One thing that we should think about is determining rents. So how do we want to go about determining this? And that's up to you guys, of course.
Yeah.
These are not income restricted, right?
Well, I think the land bank's goal is to be anything under 100% AMI. Which, to be honest with you, pretty much all of my apartments are 100% or under in terms of price, but most of the people that rent them make less than 100% AMI for.
Same.
So what did we factor in for rent on the budget
I think we said 1,500.
for 2-bedroom?
Okay.
Too much?
No,
Too little?
just right.
2-bedroom?
Yeah, 2-bedroom, except for the 1-bedroom behind.
So
Right.
do a little bit of a keys test.
Yeah.
Take the Capital Region, Troy, Schenectady, Albany, MSA, because that's how HUD figures, right?
Mhm.
And then do 90% of median income.
Mhm.
And then, what is it, 30%? 30% of rental, 30% of your income should be dedicated to rent,
It is, yes.
35 max. Right?
30?
So I
And then-
divide by 3. Is it gross or net?
It's gross.
Yeah.
It is gross.
So if you take, it's about $90,000 is the 90% for 2 people. Oh, I know, it's crazy. And then, so you take that and you're saying divide it by 3, and that's what you want it to be, and then divide that by 12.
So
Which is
90% of
2,500.
that.
Yeah,
So 90% of the 90,
okay, yeah,
It's 81.
so it's 2,250.
right?
So 2,250 would be the price, but then the people that with their income is, this is the thing about affordable housing.
It doesn't
In-
make sense.
When you add in Saratoga, Niskayuna, Loudonville into our MSA, the AMI is so
So
high,
I
it doesn't
don't think-
reflect Troy.
I don't think do those get added in? I thought it was only Troy, Albany, and Schenectady.
I'm pretty sure that it's the whole
Well, why don't
region.
you take Troy's MSA?
Well, then now you're so low, you're at like
You can't
$50,000.
pencil out.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder to do that. So the land bank, so from I've not been corrected and I don't have a conviction one way or the other, but it's always been just people with less than 100% AMI, which is, now our rent is different than the income. And the income is really where we matter
No, I know,
more.
but you just wanna make sure that, where's our missing market right now,
Mhm.
right? And also, we have to reflect, and I learned this at Redburn, right? Like, you also have neighborhood market rate,
Mhm.
right? So what's the goal of the project is to make sure that there's a
Mhm.
diverse neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right, so, and it's a brand new facility,
Mhm.
so I think that that's also part of it too.
Right.
I mean, DSS will pay $1,330 for a 2-bedroom. That's just DSS Western County. So that's their max, and obviously that's for low-income folks.
So they got, the margin they have to make up is the 170 plus
170
utilities.
bucks plus utilities, yes.
I talk to tenants sometimes like this. If you made $15 an hour and there's 2 people in a 2-bedroom apartment and they work 40 hours a week, so you got 30 is the 2 of them times 40 is 1,200 times 4 week is 4,800. And if you divide 4,800 by 3, you're more than 1,500. So that's a minimum wage full-time job.
By 2.
Minimum's like 16 now.
Okay, so
16.
if you're making less than minimum wage and you're getting taken advantage of by your employer,
Well,
you could still afford 1,600 if you just work 40 hours a week.
Okay, so 1,500 is reasonable.
So from
Does land bank have like an 80% AMI goal?
no, we, it was 100% from enterprise grant to start. And then from that point, the land bank has no requirements per state law. We can do anything we'd like, and it's up to the board to determine it. And so because I think when I tried to get that answer out of Kate kept saying to me, you gotta follow enterprise and then follow the grant. And then so I said to everybody, this is what the grant says, this is what Kate says, so.
I think that original funding, when we originally founded, was targeted 80%. That original, like, $1 million that we got, I think that was the original inclusion of that.
But so there's two parts to it. It's a squeeze play, the way I understand it. You have the rent, which you gotta make sure they can afford it, but then they have to be affordable, which means your AMI needs to be high enough. So truthfully, at 1,500, people need to, say 4,800 for the monthly income times it by 12. They're like at 50,000, 60,000. That family of two is gonna make 60,000, but they can't make less than 60 to qualify it. But if you set your AMI so low that you're looking for people with 60,000 to 70,000, if somebody makes 75, you just lost somebody that's almost there. But if somebody makes 55, so you're squeezing them from the rent and the income side. So keeping a higher AMI, but keeping the rent low enough.
You're shrinking your pool.
Yeah, where there's a gap. So we're really looking for people that are about $50,000 to $90,000
Yes.
in the for the household income.
Which is actually where the void is.
Right.
I just got a tenant for across the street from my house and I've been holding out, trying to find the right tenant. And it's a mother-daughter. They live in North Central. Their rent is 1,500. My rent's 1,600, completely brand new, huge flat, washer and dryer, off-street parking. And she filled out an application before she left the house.
Mm-hmm.
She just says, I want it, will you hold it till March? And I said, absolutely. I asked where she lived. I said, why? Ironically, it's around our zone. And she said, it's for $1,500. My kitchen ceiling's leaking. There's holes in the wall, blah, blah, blah. Just the whole, what you normally hear, right?
Yeah.
And she was happy to have.
Yeah. And for $25 a week, she's gonna be happy.
Yeah.
More.
She took a video, sent it to her mother. Her mother they both work in medical. Her mother texted her back after the video and asked her if they could fill an application right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's a sweet spot.
Okay, totally.
Because I think you're 50 to 90, right? Like she's a claims manager for MVP. The mother works at St. Peter's. At what capacity, I don't know, but that sounds like that income range, right?
Mhm.
Without knowing medical,
I'm
something
sure,
like
I'm
that.
sure you're in that window.
It's in there somewhere.
Mhm.
And she didn't blink it. She actually said we could pay 2 months up front for the hold, and I said that's not necessary.
Yeah.
So, but though that's a different end. That doesn't exist. Like somebody wanting to pay more.
Right. I mean, I found a couple that just take an apartment down across from the Blue Store, my apartment down there on the second floor. I lost my Army chef, and I'm getting these guys, and they seem great, but they're making 50,000 for $1,250 a month for 2 bedrooms. So perfect for them. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
good.
All right, we'll recommend that to the full board. I threw together this policy for helping the community. It's really just for introduction to you guys to get some calls that we get in the land bank, the housing stabilization program. There's 2 parts to it. The first part is this program here. A lot of times people call. TAP has actually suggested that we go into business managing projects, which I said we're not in the business of managing other people's projects, but they were impressed with how, certain things like the handicap ramp turned out and our ability to get multiple bidders on multiple projects. And they were just surprised at our ability there. So I've had that same thing happen with people that bought buildings from us. They want to know who's a good architect, who's a good mason, who's a good this. And I say, I really can't recommend anybody, It's just, we don't have a policy towards that. So to that end, there's an idea that I have out here that we could, given these barriers or following this policy, at least help to facilitate people's projects in ways, in a very non-committal way, at least try to guide people the right steps. Some people will call and say, oh, I got a vacant building and there's a vacant building fee. Who do I call? Sometimes that's a simple call. And I'm like, I know you got to call either, probably the planning department, but code, and even you can talk to the assessor, but those are your three. They don't even know to go to City Hall for that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm answering these calls that come in on the phone. I don't know if you get as many.
Not as many.
But even back to what I was saying with TAP wants access to Paul has a database where every time we have a project, you can type it into Google, like contractors, and it just populate. I do it with our committee or executive board, and all my executive boards or land bank board, and then all the emails to it. You put in contractors, and all the
All my
contractors,
contractors pop up, whether they've done business in the past.
and then
or
just
not,
say,
but
especially
I have it
MBE.
categorized for MBE versus general.
Yeah,
You
And
use
so-
that all in your contacts?
I haven't.
yeah. So you can do it on your contacts where you.
I'm slacking.
And it just saves time at the end of the day.
You're lucky if you get your first name and who you're associated with in my contact.
That's
Well,
they-
with Google,
Jamie the barber.
when you have the contact on your email, you just label. There's a label you put on them.
Well,
And
I
it's a
know.
bucket, and as soon as you type the label in, it populates. And TAP's asking for us to get the contractor to show up to the bid walkthroughs, and I'm not sure if there's something we're doing different or whatever, but it just seems like I read about this sort of thing in the Strong Towns book. I gave it to Monica, is towards the end of the book where it just having less friction for people to get projects done. They might be able to have the self-confidence to go ahead and move forward with it.
Greg, is this the result of the conversation we had from when one of the council members posted something about,
Kind of, yeah.
this
That's part of it,
is what turned that conversation we had? Okay, all right.
Well, I
This
mean,
is what came out of the conversation.
I was already thinking about it, but yes.
Okay.
And then the second part of it on the second page is a directory on our website where we can put a contact form for contractors to just register their name. And if they send us their insurance information, we can put it to the right of it. Their insurance is, we've seen their insurance or not, insurance, yes or not, but you have to verify yourself, of course. There'll be a lot of disclaimers. But somebody could actually be on a directory of people local to Troy that are, it doesn't have to be local. They can be far away if they're willing to do projects. And then people can say, who's doing work in Troy? And they might be able to use our directory. Not that it'd be the best directory. Google works too. But the problem sometimes with Google is, I think Monica, you even commented one time, I didn't realize there were so many contractors in Troy.
Yeah.
And even Crystal from HCR said it in the last call, which is down below, but she called, in a call, she's like, well, you guys seem to have a lot of contractors in Troy. 871, I think we're going to hit 15, 20 contractors to get that project done.
Probably.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
It's called GC in the job.
Right, but it's like there's a random mold guy out in Albany ready to go mold, and you might not know about him.
Yeah, and you know what? And they were
Also-
and they were fantastic. But to be honest, going after those kind of guys was okay. I got to air it out, and once it's aired out, it's in the database. Fine. Now we just take the bid. et cetera. But now we have the database. We have the information. So if you do it once, you do it right, you're not going to do it again.
Anybody else doing this?
I don't know if it's the same way. Probably not. Google is, Yahoo, Bing.
But no, like the land banks.
Right? No, nobody. Does.
Okay. So did our attorney look at this yet?
Not yet. Less
Uh,
pressing.
No, I think this is good work because you know me, how do you clear the path and get people done? We just heard it in our governor's speech on Tuesday, right? How do you clear the path so that people can actually get stuff done in a timely manner and a responsible manner, hopefully help be more efficient with finances as well as time.
Sure.
I think that I like the idea of this.
Mhm.
I also don't want people to abuse it.
Right.
So I don't know if we want to associate a fee for services. It
No.
can be nominal. It can be nominal.
I understand that, but then we might assume, and this, you can talk to Katie about this. I don't want to be in a position
The
of assuming
liability.
liability.
No, right. So I think that that's the thing. Because if people don't have skin in the game,
Yeah,
right?
this is true.
right? If you
I
don't
get
pay for
that, though.
something, people abuse it, right? If it's
Mhm.
they then become entitled
Mhm.
to the services
Sure.
rather than the privilege of, or the, the benefit of. So I think that that's,
Totally
it can be nominal.
Sure.
It can be
Administrative fee.
a straight
Yeah.
flat fee for your services, because the other thing you might wanna do is all of a sudden, all you guys are doing is answering the phone to solve everybody else's problems.
Yeah,
But, and I did add in program administration, the second to last paragraph, that we reserve the right to limit assistance based on capacity, so.
It could be a 2-hour assessment, it could be, literally clarify,
Mhm.
what you're going, you could have somebody call you and you're spending a week on something and you're not getting paid for it.
Mhm.
Not that we aren't all community-minded, contributing people,
Yep.
like, that's why we're all here. But that also takes you away from the actual mission of the land bank,
Mhm. Yeah.
which the mission is to actually do the work
Yep.
and get these houses turned.
Yep.
So I think that I love this idea,
Send
and
it
I
to the
love this
lawyer.
concept. I would send it to the attorney for the liability aspect of it. But then I would also consider a little bit of a flat fee for a set amount of time. Maybe it's a 4-hour chunk of time. where
maybe it's
you
just a
go-
registration fee, so that you can participate.
Something.
And then that way, maybe we're not quote unquote liable, but again, I defer to the attorney.
And then make sure there's like super disclaimers
Mhm.
underneath the list of contractors.
Mhm. Yeah,
Super,
yeah,
super,
because you
super.
don't know, It did, obviously it needs to be said at the top of that page that these contractors have self-registered.
With New York State
We don't,
scaffold law
Yeah.
and everything else that's out there,
yeah,
we want no liability
of
on
course.
anything. That we recommended somebody, that they were on our list.
Mhm.
We also have to make sure that it's not considered a preferred list, and we're
Yeah.
actually, because like we're a governmental agency, so we have to be careful of that too.
Yeah, we can't steer.
Right. So that's the idea. It was really for introduction though.
I think the good part about it, quite honestly, is I take more calls on evenings and weekends from people who are looking for a mortgage or looking to borrow money. I'm not kidding.
Because we're a bank.
Well, we're a community land bank, so they think that we're a bank. And you would,
I got 3 of them this week
I-
that got transferred.
Oh, I know.
I've probably gotten, since I've started, 50 to 75 of those.
Nice.
And you explain, oh, then what does the land bank do? Even people have stopped in the door,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like, if you were looking for a bank, we're not a bank.
We're not a bank,
Do I
but
really have to explain?
But what this might help is a little bit on the community outreach side to define exactly what the land bank does.
Yeah.
No, I think I think this is really important
Yeah.
work. And I think that it's the investment in the neighborhood, the commitment to the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And that's been a really unique piece of this land bank versus other bigger like county land banks.
Well,
and
like
larger.
the facade program, that hasn't been done by any other land bank to my knowledge,
No.
in the state.
Crystal said we're the only ones, and so in our recent application, which is coming up, and this is the next section, so we're ready to get into it. This would be, this is still the first, this would be the second round of us only being the first. So our land bank doing a lot of things that aren't being done by other land
Which is
banks.
okay, which is why it's doing what it's doing.
Yeah.
And it's not making $100 million headlines, and that's okay.
Yeah,
And it doesn't need
Yeah.
to, because that's,
97.
well, by the time the project's done, I bet it's gonna be 100.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
and that's it, that's something that community over there
Mhm.
wants to see, and,
Yeah.
and it is what they're doing over there in that section of town.
Yeah.
It needs it.
It's great.
It's where my grandmother was born,
Oh, that's right. you told me that.
Batcher Street. Yeah.
And it can't all be one entity, like, we can't have the housing authorities try to pick up all of it, right?
Mhm.
They're limited in their resources. They're also now competing with big entities and the private entities for all their LIHTC funding.
Mhm.
So, this is a way for us to get in and do this really small, meaningful Main Street level,
Mhm.
which is important, which
Yeah.
is sometimes often forgotten.
Yeah.
Troy doesn't do anything consistent with any other municipality for anything
Sounds
else,
good.
so why would we change that for them, right?
So, yeah, I can send that to the attorney and then also try to parse some of that out. I'll bold the headings and put our,
I would ask her about like a fee for like
Foss to say.
a 2 or 4 window.
Yeah.
4-hour window, right? Just so
Yeah.
you have this is what we can come do. We can give you a general assessment,
Mhm.
like talk you through.
I like
Yeah.
the two option, yeah. Instead of just one.
And I would add that I talked to Kim about this program that we're about to get into. So if you don't mind, we could probably just jump into the next section, which kind of parallels with that.
Yep.
This is the potential home safety repair program. It's part of the grant I applied for with HCR. They asked me a lot of questions about it on a phone call, and I applied for $500,000 for the goal being to fix really impactful code compliant issues in people's houses. So the goal in writing it in HCR is going to give me a lot of lanes to stay on as opposed to our facade program. Crystal was asking me questions about that. How'd you figure it out? And I said, oh, I was sort of just given the program. The day I started, I was told that it exists and here's the 13 units we're doing. So I wasn't part of any of it. It was all developed before I got here. And she's like, well, that would have to change. And I was like, all right, well, so she's going to give me a narrow lane, but my vision for it is as you see here, if people's houses are leaking water inside, a roof is a big thing and it can stop the building from being uninhabitable. If their heating system breaks, that's another thing.
These are occupied.
Occupied home,
Yeah.
owner occupied, up to 120% AMI is the allowance. So this is, I mean, I put on the second page, the graph, a two-person household is 113,000 a year. So a lot of people in the city of Troy owner occupied. I don't know how many. So 60% of the people are like renters. So there's not as many owner occupants. And then on top of that are making under that amount, but also that have big problems with their house. Because if you have a leaky roof, what's the chances you own it, you're living there, you're not gonna figure out how to fix it?
Well, and a lot of people don't have disposable income at $113,000 a year to be able to purchase said roof.
Yeah. Right.
Even over 120%.
Yes.
Having just done that.
So this is the grant I
It ain't
wrote.
cheap.
This is the grant I wrote for, and it says potential at the top. And Kim asked me some questions about it because she wanted to take it to the Lansingburg meeting. So I wrote this up. She took it. Well, I think she just read it to them there. There was questions for them, of course, but this is
And I know that this is potential.
yeah, it says right there.
Yeah.
No, Lansingburg knows this
Yes,
is potential.
yep.
Because they tend.
Yeah, I mean, I told Kim, we've been back and forth a couple times. I'm gonna take this on Little Italy's meetings, joint meeting with Osgood, to show them this sort of thing. And the goal in saying potential is that people in the neighborhoods can start considering, like they're walking their dog, they might see, Aunt Angie's house next door has got a hole in the siding and there's code implications. But to jump back onto this building stabilization policy, the people in Lansingburg's immediate feedback is like, I don't have any code violations. Code hasn't been to my house and violated me. And Kim said, well, these people say there are no code violations in their house. And I said, Kim, everybody's house has a code violation. Just code hasn't written you up for it yet. Most of our houses are not code compliant. And because codes change, you can get grandfathered in. Maybe things need to be updated. Code is already busy with people complaining. Nobody's going to complain on themselves when they're owner occupied as well. They're just going to shut their door and not let people inside to check it out. They don't want to rock the boat. So in the meanwhile, they're not going to say I have my house on Maple Avenue, the lady put a 55-gallon trash can to catch the water from the roof. And then that water from the roof ended up being the electrical fire to cause the whole house catch on fire. She wasn't calling it. She didn't want anybody in there. She had 25 to 30 cats, according to the newspaper, inside the house. She didn't want anybody to shut her down. Those sort of stories exist. People are afraid to talk about them. But if we can go and say, like, it's okay, we're not code. We're only here to try to get you a new roof so your roof stops leaking.
Right. Or a boiler that is.
Or your foundation wall's bowing. Code isn't going in the basement checking bowing walls. And maybe that's what people need. So I'm going to bring this on Wednesday there, and I just wanted to at least introduce that to you guys.
Okay.
So how would so is it a full grant? Or is it like a 50-50, 75-25?
It's a full grant.
So,
Unless HCR tells me it's a 50-50 or 75-25, they might want us to put a 2-year lien like they've done in the past with the city.
right,
That they might change all the rules when they come back to us. We'll see.
if it gets approved.
If it gets approved, it's all potential. But you gotta start drumming up ideas, because we're gonna have to churn this out in 18 months. Otherwise, we'll ask for an extension, and I hate to
No,
do
I
it
think
personally.
it's, so and this was the whole initiative behind, so I guess my question is how overlapping is this to TAP? Not TAP, TRIP.
And Church's not doing theirs anymore, that's what Crystal said.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah, Crystal said to me, there's other programs for this. I'm like, I don't know all the HCR programs, so she goes, yeah, Trip used to do it, but Trip's not doing it. I think they're probably a capacity problem. They're busy with other sort of things, so they're not doing the same program.
So that funding source through CDBG is no longer there.
I'm not sure, it might be there, it might not be,
Okay.
but that's through CDBG, and so.
Yeah, but see, CDBG gives money to TRIP to do some sort of community-wide initiatives.
Yeah,
Why don't you, Carolyn,
yep, I went down there and talked to Charles and told him.
why don't you ask Charles to see if they're still funding something like this? Through CDBG.
Yeah.
You just wanna be careful because you don't wanna have consumer confusion,
Sure.
right? If there's too many people doing things, which I think this is really good. When ARPA first came around, there was, remember, TRIP did the program where they went into block by block, like that block by block thing where you could, like the neighbors could all get together, and it was meant to effectively prevent neighborhoods from tipping into the wrong direction, right? So to keep them from the tipping point. I think this is a good kind of that program, right? Like this is getting to homes that aren't vacant yet, right? That might have a minor or sometimes a major issue. But before somebody just says, oh, I can't afford to pay it, I'm just gonna sell it, right? I'll take the loss or I'll take the hit. And then now all of a sudden we got another vacant house that's for sale sitting for something. So I think that's good. I think we'll just need to see what the details are from. It'll be good to see I can't imagine anybody in the community saying, no, we don't want free money.
Right.
Right, like.
HCR is more concerned that people are gonna be upset they didn't get selected. So they're suggesting to me to narrow it, because this is up to 120% AMI. Most of those TRIP funding ones are lower AMI, which means it's really, I don't qualify, but this one, some people might actually qualify.
But this is probably more closely aligned with persons who actually are owner occupied, right?
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So I know people that,
This is gonna be most of Lansingburg and most of South Troy.
yeah,
For owner occupied.
and part of the selection process that I have in my gut right now is impact based on dollar amount, because we're still going to pay $300 to seed could be somebody else, but to make sure there's no environmental problems. We're going to have to get Dave Sheeran. He's going to have to say we're not changing the use. That's $50 to the city because we don't own that one. So if somebody says I want a new hand railing out front, it's $300. I'm going to spend $350 just to get the documentation necessary to say yes. Versus somebody's got a $25,000 roof, the impact there is greater. But then you also have census tracts, and the last one that we did, I think, was in 2023, where it shows the AMI by color for every neighborhood. So you can give a higher point to any of the lower income neighborhoods if somebody's owner occupied there versus higher income neighborhoods. Because of course, my house was just as vacant when I bought it as the ones that are in South Troy. But if you put it on Hubzu, which is where we bought it, on an auction site, and people were bidding up to 100,000. We stopped at 40. We ended up buying a problem for $40,000 versus the city giving them away for 500 downtown or down in South Troy or North Central. So I see a couple of rankings, and of course I think that internally, if this goes forward, that we should do another ad hoc committee to select the awardees based on the point system, or at least to develop the point system too. And once they select it, then we can get to our planning part. So we get these things.
And I think just like city government does, they actually, the rubric or the criteria is actually published in the document. We actually get that somewhere so people understand this is the process we use. Right. Well, these are the things that we're gonna look and evaluate and.
Yeah.
Do you think you need some kind of, something that keeps people there to prevent people from flipping? I got a new roof now, I can sell my house and sell.
Well, and he had mentioned that about HCR, is there a whole time, is it 2 years, is it 3 years?
Well, that's something that the city did. And truthfully, like personally, if a house has a leaky roof, the reason I wrote this one was because I was concerned. I've seen it from my perspective of people age out of their home, but then like they can't afford these big ticket items at the end and
Sure.
leaving the house worse for the next person. So some of these are, I kind of or my mental state is that these actually get to the new owners with less problems. The building the baton can be transferred without, once the foundation's tipping, it's hard to push it back into place without building a new one. And then if you can stop it from tipping before you transfer ownership to the next generation, when people age out from their, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they can't do any of these big repairs, we do have to keep the housing stock intact for the next person to own it.
Yeah.
So personally, I was less concerned about that, but I mean, I'm fine by it too.
It's like a generational impact.
Yes, that's the idea.
Sure.
That
It's
was
a
my
legacy,
hope.
a legacy impact,
I
right?
think, I would be okay, I'm going through this with my mother. I would be okay with a single man or woman who was by themselves now, living on no social security income or whatever their pension is, or nothing. And they can't fix their roof. And they don't wanna sell the house, because if they sell a house with a faulty roof or no boiler, now they got no money or 20,000 less for their next spot, right? So, and if that person, like my mother's situation, 50 years in one house, right, now they're gonna be significantly downsizing. That extra $20,000, if we're able to come in, put a roof on them so that man or woman can pocket an extra 20 grand to maybe live another 10 years comfortably, then I
In the
think.
same building.
But a lot of
Well,
people,
no, not
they
even,
want-
if they wanna sell it, I'm saying, to
Either way,
Brian's
either
point,
way.
if they sell it and they're able to pocket an extra 20
Mhm.
to downsize or go to assisted living, whatever, so be it.
right,
It's gonna get abused, the reality is it could
Well,
potentially
and
get
that's
abused.
where
Hopefully
HCR may
not.
come in
They
and
might
say
tell us,
X,
yeah.
they may give us a dictate on that,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about flipping, not so
Yeah,
much
flip.
helping.
but I don't
helping
think,
the
I don't
elderly.
think somebody could be flipping. Because they're not they wouldn't be occupying it if they're fixing it up currently.
Yeah.
And so
It's a rarity anyway.
You,
Yeah.
as part of the process of figuring this out, we could also take into consideration longevity in the house too. So
That should
you
be
get
one
more
of the
points if you're 20 years plus. You
Right.
get 10 points if you're
If you're
20 years
long-term
plus.
That's a good
owner.
Yeah, and so there's a guy on Maple, believe it or not, there's another one on Upper Maple, just near this School 16, 2 houses in or whatever, and he's got these old Plymouths in the driveway, but all the
I know what
painting,
else.
peeling, paint.
No,
And-
I know exactly what else.
And
Great
so,
house too.
yeah, and so I keep calling him at the nursing home he's at, and I think he's stuck with a Medicaid issue and he just doesn't want to say it, but I keep calling him being like, hey, you want to sell it to me? I'll fix this thing up and do it. But in his case, that would have been a perfect, before he moved, I mean, he's not living there now, but his paint was peeling on his house. That's a code violation. The roof is leaking, he's parking cars not on a driveway because the driveway's eroded away to nothing. It's all grass now. That, before he moved, it would have been a perfect situation. But to your point, now he's living in assisted living, and now the house is really ripe for rot. Versus if he would have got this grant 10 years ago when he was living there, he could have fixed something up, and then it would be stable while he's aging through the retirement situation. So, but that's not really moving because he still has the address, kind of. I don't know.
I think we can craft our criteria to limit flippers from coming in.
Yeah, you could just do
Because
longevity.
that doesn't help.
It doesn't.
On
No.
mission.
No, but they're, HCR is getting more relaxed about that. They're even doing like rental housing programs or where you can get money to flip your house so that way it turns it from vacant to fixed. They're giving those grants out. In fact, Barb Nelson just called me and said, "Did you apply for that one? Vacant rental properties, BRP or something." So it's, believe it or not, they just want the housing fixed. I think they're less worried about anything else. Just somebody to administer it, get the money out the door so they can fix up the vacant buildings.
Well, and this is the time, right, with, there's a huge initiative for affordability and housing across the country, really, but also in New York, but, I appreciate the program, I think keeping it narrow, not
Fine.
narrow funding wise, but like
Yeah.
specifics, right?
Yeah, good criteria for it.
And I like the concept of the investment in brick and mortar. I mean, like I am,
Dollars to construction outcomes, yeah.
What do you got for your HCR call?
Okay, yeah, so real quickly, I had a call with them. We talked about the program, we talked about our 3 projects, our budget for our 3 projects. I'm interested, like with our 3 projects we're working on now, these 3. Of course, out the gate, we got the local news that down below where we're gonna do 1.2 million for 3 buildings. I think a lot of people might have been like, we'll see what we see.
Mhm.
And now that we're rounding the corner on some of them and getting to the finish line, I think they were concerned about what's the budget for this one. And I said, well, it's not much different than the last round of 3. So 1.2 million for these 3 plus the 500,000 for the rental or the housing stabilization program, 1.7. So they're taking that to the board now that we spent 75% of our original LBI 2. And we have a call the 23rd about cross mod with me, Jamie, and Seamus as a representative from the city, and Crystal and a couple other people from HCR are going to be in the call. So it's 5 people in the call. So both of those things are getting pushed to the forefront. So we might be turning an even bigger corner. Who knows? We could do.
well, that was in the governor's state, the cross mod program.
Yeah.
So she's on that one.
And she's also said she wants to increase the number of land banks to 45. So maybe we can get a countywide one. Who knows?
I've been thinking about that and I've also wondered like how that would actually work.
Yeah.
So
Getting more land banks or a countywide one?
countywide.
I mean, places like Hoosick Falls would be right for Castleton
True.
Castleton. Those places could really use some work. But yeah, I mean, you can get grants to those places. Maybe it'll be helpful. So that's the 2 calls from them. It seemed optimistic. Then they went through, they have a shares tracker where we keep track of the money they've given me and I put it into buckets. And so they had me go through that, but everything else went really well. So, I printed this, but it went sideways on me, literally. We had this graphic made up and we're just gonna paint the cabinets at 871 River Street on the 24th.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah. Have
All right,
every-
I'm gonna be in the pain.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna sign a waiver, don't worry.
Thank you.
But it's just paint too, so.
You know how many waivers she made me sign for Fair Park?
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, I remember one time, believe it or not, I did a project with Hope 7, and I had to personally additionally insure the city of Troy.
Oh, we did it.
That made me do it,
Yeah,
just
we
so I
did
could
it.
do a volunteer project to help the kids.
We did the same thing. It's easy.
But it's my business already had it, so it was no problem.
It's the liability aspect of it. If
Of
somebody
course.
gets hurt, if somebody
Of course.
trips and falls,
Yeah.
like,
Or they
somebody
don't
climbs
say
on a
they do.
ladder and they don't know how to climb a
Yeah,
ladder.
me and Paul will be over there on the 23rd on Friday. Make sure I bought 5 tables that fold out, and I actually bought 8 little metal chairs. They were like $15 at Home Depot, so that way we can set the cabinets that the doors on there and whatnot. We got all the paintbrushes and everything. We got our T-shirts in the back. We'll finally be able to give some out and have some free T-shirts. Yeah, so it'll be fun.
It'd be a good day.
Yeah, it's more community engagement than necessary. I mean, I can paint a kitchen and all the kitchen cabinets in like 4 hours.
I'm gonna come and just learn how to do it so that I can.
That was another thing. I think people are afraid of it, right?
You know what? And I'm one of those guys. Growing up, my father owns professional kitchens. So I grew up making cabinets and making countertops and all this stuff. And I'm like, you paint that wood? Why are you painting the wood?
Yeah.
But today, especially many females, they want color. They want
Yeah.
pop. They want, it's just
Oh, 100%. I've actually
like,
been.
it doesn't denote it here at 834, but these are gorgeous.
Yeah,
Is that the green?
it's not green.
No,
It's
this is
actually a
more
light blue,
A blue in there,
bluish green.
Yep.
a blue green.
But
And it-
one
it's-
time
it's
I
gorgeous.
One time we made a kitchen with those colors, and we had to make a selection on a tenant, and we found the greatest tenant. So she was great. We awarded it to her. We're driving down to go to Kingston for some antique shopping, and on the ride down, somebody texted me after we already gave it to the one girl. Okay, can I send my application tonight? And I said, we've already awarded it. I told you we were gonna make the decision on the drive down on Saturday. This is, you did the showings on Wednesday and we said, give it to me by Friday night. She laid into me all because she wanted that kitchen. She's like, you're the worst. I would never want to rent from you anyway. Just because she wanted the kitchen color. She liked the color. I don't know. It wasn't personal. You didn't even apply by the deadline. I know. So
We didn't even actually consider your application.
right,
We
because
didn't
we
have
didn't
it.
have one. We didn't, you know, it was just, I got 10 applications and you didn't apply. We, sorry to the 9 that didn't get it.
That
We
rings
gave-
a bell, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
At
happened.
one of the properties maybe we were selling at one point in time.
Yes, yep, yeah, that
Yes, it
happens.
rings a
Yes, it happened. I mean, people, it's hard, and you know, if we're gonna do the work that we're doing, obviously we're gonna have to take some licks sometimes, so. That's it for the volunteer day. We're kind of talking about the board meeting topics here, and then, I put out the meeting schedule for the year.
I only have 2 conflicts, and I'll see if I can change the conflicts first, because it's like July and November.
Mm-hmm.
They might be moved by them anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
Meetings.
yeah.
There's other conflicts.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm.
the one thing to note is, you know, I'm going to Disney the second week of February, so that's why I moved it to the 4th. I think it's the 4th Thursday instead of the
Did you
3rd.
talk to HR about that?
Okay,
Vacation cleared.
I guess I'll ask. I have a couple weeks ahead right now, so this is informally asking, I guess.
Excuse me.
But otherwise, it's just to present it to the board, make sure everybody's happy.
You're all like, stop.
Yeah,
That, whatever is going on here with this exhaust doesn't help. Did Olivia see that?
I told her. Oh, I should mention that.
I have to hang my coat when I get home outside.
Yeah, so I,
To de-restaurantized it.
Oh, I did not share it with her yet, no.
yeah, but that's all right. I'll just mention Olivia came by because I told her we're moving out of this office, and I think the bid is paying $1,000. I shouldn't say that out loud, but you know, maybe they won't watch it.
Yeah.
But they're paying $1,000 for rent. We're paying $410, and we're not going to be using this office in a couple months. But we still are on the hook. So I think at the next board meeting, we can make a motion to entertain subleases and allow maybe allow me to execute
I think
sublease.
it's a great location because it's right next to the marina and it can also serve as a mini visitor center.
It's close to
Perfect.
Universe.
Perfect spot.
I think it's great.
I don't, for her sake, whatever she wants to do, that's great. But for us, I don't want to pay the 14 months of rent that we don't have to.
Right.
And if we can get somebody to sublease it, that's great. I
And they
think all we
won't
need to do is
just
pass
out
it at the
here.
board meeting. Or, you know,
I know a few people on the bid board, we might be able to convince her to do it.
yeah, maybe. So yeah, that was one thing I showed her, and obviously it's up to them. You know, we're on the hook for our contract till 2027, I think, June 2027. So yeah.
Any other business at all?
No.
Nobody? Then we will set our next meeting for February 20th, same time, same place. Any conflicts with that one? Suzanne? Yeah? No? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Promotion.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
We are there.